So the camera has the battery in it. I'm going to turn on the power. It's right here. I just push it to the on position and it turns on. Before I go any further, let me just talk quickly about the screen and the menu options. This particular camera is a touch screen, so you can touch it. If the screen is not responsive, there's a little Q in the corner right here. If I touch the Q, that gives me then touch abilities. But one of the options you can do too, besides using the touchscreen, is you can use the buttons that come with the camera. There's a menu button right here, and that's your friend. So if you push that, all kinds of internal options come up. So again, the options will change depending on what mode you're in. When I'm in manual mode and I push the menu button, there's fewer options along the top. If I go into program mode, now program mode is basically auto everything, but I can override anything that I want. Automatic is it does everything for you and you can't change anything. When I push the menu button here as well, I get far more choices. And one of the first ones that come up there, see how it says image quality? So this is for photographs. The L with the wedge there beside it, that means large quality, and then you always want to shoot large quality. So if I just touch screen there, these are all the options. There is one option down here, RAW plus the L are the large size pictures. So this is an 18 megapixel camera. You can see the size of file is going to be there in pixels, and then 974 photographs is what I'm going to take out of that camera. The other option that you might want sometimes is RAW plus large, and when I select that one, you see I go down to 210 photographs. The picture size is the same, but what it does is RAW is an uncompressed file, so it records an uncompressed file and a JPEG. Typically, JPEG is fine for a lot of what you're doing. Most of what you're doing, it's fine. The problem with RAW is not everything will open RAW, and you can get into trouble if you're trying to view things on a device. So if you're going to shoot RAW, I highly recommend you shoot RAW plus a large file. And this card isn't particularly large, but I do have 218 pictures. But if you're going to shoot it like that, you might get yourself an extra card or a larger card. But for most applications, I just pick the large image here, right there. So the full wedge, you see how the wedge gets smaller, but it's the full quarter circle there. And that's what I want to pick for my image quality. So that's for my photographs. And again, this wheel right here, this has all my different functions on it. And this is where I can set it to manual mode, etc. And I'll talk about that. The goal as a photographer professionally is to shoot in manual, to know what different things affect the camera. There's three things that affect the exposure of the camera: the shutter speed of the camera, the aperture of the camera, and the ISO. The ISO is how sensitive is the camera to light. The ISO button for the Canon camera is right here, ISO. So if I push that, the ISO buttons come up. And again, this is a touch screen, so I can change it by touching it, or by pushing the ISO button, I can then turn the wheel on my thumb, right? And that will change it as well. There's lots of options for the ISO, and basically it's how sensitive your camera is to light. Now, you might say, well, why don't I just make it really sensitive to light? The problem is if it's too sensitive to light, the way that it does it electronically is it also then makes the picture grainier, so that it looks like sand in your photograph. It doesn't make your picture nice and sharp. Modern cameras are very good though, so we find that you can actually do quite a bit with the ISO before you start to notice a picture quality loss. Automatic is just, it sets it for you. There's nothing wrong with that when you're learning, but let me just run through it. 100 and 200, those ISOs they need a lot of light. So if you're in bright sunlight outside, it's in the studio with these lights on my face, professionally lit situations, you can get away with 100 or 200. Again, nice, sharp, crisp pictures, very low grain on the picture. 400, also fine outside. It allows me a bit more latitude if I'm doing higher speed photography, I'm on a boat, shooting sporting events, that kind of stuff. It gives me a bit more room to use other options with my shutter speed. Same thing with 800. These are all good outside bright daylight type ISOs. Then you get to 1600. 1600 is fine inside, right? And actually quite good, 32 and up to 6400 inside on these cameras will be fine. But again, do a little test, take some pictures at each one, like at each level, and look at the picture and then zoom in on it, and you'll see that the 100 ISO pictures are actually crisper than something shot with an ISO of 6400. However, if the shot is, you have to shoot with a higher ISO to get the proper exposure, then you do that because you want to get the picture if something is too dark. If you're going to shoot any way, either overexposed or underexposed, go underexposed because there's more detail in the shot. If a shot is overexposed, all the detail's blown out. For example, on my jacket, again, the collar is overexposed. I just like the jacket, so that's why I wear it. You can see on my jacket where it's overexposed on the collar, right? The detail, like especially on this collar, see how the detail is lost? So there's crinkles in the jacket. You can't see it because it's overexposed. If this was underexposed, there you can put some of that detail back in. You can increase the brightness a little bit, and the detail's still in the picture. So if you have a choice between over and underexposing, underexpose it because you'll have more image detail. At this point, you should better understand how the ISO plays a role in allowing you to have better exposed photographs.